You're listening to the Balanced Educator Podcast, episode number 132. Welcome to the Balanced Educator. We're your hosts, Kaylee
and Josiane from Educalm. Our intention is to equip and empower you to feel more calm, balanced, and joyful in all aspects of your life.
Hello there and welcome. We are so happy to have you here with us today. In this episode of the Balanced Educator Podcast, we've invited Erith Thompson to share how she uses Educalm Classroom, our social emotional learning and mindfulness program, with her grade 6 team. Erith shares why she started using Educalm Classroom in the first place with her students and what resources she found really useful when she was getting started. Then she talks about the process of using Educalm Classroom with the whole grade 6 team. This episode is perfect if you're thinking of using Educalm Classroom in your classroom, or if you're thinking about extending that to a larger team of teachers in your school, or maybe even your full school, and you'd like to hear an example of how it worked with Erith and her team and kind of what those steps were for them to get rolling with this program. Now, I recorded this episode earlier on in the school year. We've been holding on to this gem for a little while for you, so you'll hear us talking a little bit about what it was like at the beginning of the school, although not much has changed for us where we're teaching in Manitoba, Canada throughout the year. School was open for a while, then it was closed for a little bit, open again, kind of always on edge, not knowing if we're going to stay open or closed. Also in this episode, Erith talks about her students getting vaccinations that was not COVID vaccinations, because at that time, they didn't even exist yet. But they were other vaccinations that happen in grade 6. So if you're wondering about that, there's your little explanation. Now, if you've been using Educalm Classroom for a while, or you've already been using the free trial, and you're kind of in a phase where you're wanting other teachers, other colleagues to get on board with you, this could also be a great way to get them to learn about the program without you explaining it. So maybe recommending this episode to a colleague or even an administrator at your school could be helpful in getting the ball rolling to making this a larger school initiative at your school. Now, if you're new to the show and you're like, what is Educalm Classroom? Let me give you a little description before we get into this episode so that everything makes sense. So Educalm Classroom is a ready-to-use social emotional learning program for the classroom, made by teachers for the realities of a classroom. So the process with Educalm Classroom is you sign into the website, and then there are ready to play audios. So you press play, you listen to the audio. This audio guides you and your students through a guided mindfulness practice that teaches you and them, everyone gets to learn at the same time, teaches everyone strategies for mental health. So these are strategies that are going to help you to manage emotions, recognize how your body is feeling, improve your emotional intelligence, and gain all sorts of useful strategies for managing the emotions that come with being human. Now, with this program, we also have printables that can help you if you want to go even deeper with the practice and connect it to other areas of your curriculum. So maybe you teach English language arts and you'd like to use what students are learning in the audios and develop that into a writing activity. Well, we have ready to print, ready to use writing activities that go with those lessons. So this practice can be, this tool, this program can be as simple as just pressing play and spending 2 or 5 minutes listening to the audios with your students so that everyone is calm and their brain is ready to learn before getting into your lessons for the day. Or it can go as deep as infusing it into your science or your languages or any part of the curriculum, your health curriculum, things like that. So because it's made by teachers, it's all ready to go, ready to print, easy to use. So if you haven't already signed up for the free trial to Educalm Classroom, you've got to check it out. Go to educalme.com. That's educalme.com and sign up for the free trial. When you sign up for the free trial never expires. What it does is it gives you access to the first unit in our full curriculum. So you'll be able to use the first unit, Introduction to Mindfulness, with your students forever. It never expires. And then if you really like it, and this is a resource that you want to keep using in your classroom and have a ready to use practice for every single day of the school year, then you can sign up for a full membership to Educalm Classroom and get all of the units and all of the resources. Another benefit to the Educalm Classroom program is that it's completely bilingual in English and French. So when you sign up for Educalm Classroom, you can easily switch the website between English and French, and all of the resources are available in both languages. So you can use one language or both languages, whatever works for you and your situation. All right, let's get into this episode so you can hear about Educalm Classroom from Erith. Hello there, Erith. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem. I'm excited to be here.
Can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I've been teaching in French immersion ever since I graduated. I love teaching in French. I've done a lot of different things in the middle school. I've been in here for my whole career, and I love working with these kids. They are so interesting and so dynamic. I've got 2 little boys at home who are my life. And that's kind of who I am.
That is so great. I'd love to know, what is your favorite part about teaching? What is the thing that keeps bringing you back every day, that gets you excited to come back every year? The thing that brings you the most joy about teaching?
When they get it and the light bulb goes off and they feel confident in what they're doing and they got this.
Yeah.
And it's something that we've been working on and doing, and then they've been trying, and then they get it, and they feel so proud of themselves, and you see their whole body language change, and they doing those hard things and doing them successfully.
That is so, I totally agree with that light bulb moment, which is just, it's validating as the teacher, but it's like you can like physically see them growing. Like it's almost like when they have those body reactions of like, I get it now. It's like you can see the connections of their brain connecting in a new way, and you're like, this is so cool.
Yep, exactly.
So neat. So you've been using Educalm Classroom in your classroom for a couple of years now. I would love for you to kind of walk us back to when you were just about to start using this social emotional learning and mindfulness program in your classroom. What was it that drew you to this program, and what made you want to adopt this program into your classroom?
Well, I've always thought that mindfulness and growth mindset were important for students, important for everyone. And I'd tried different things in the past as to, tried different things that might work in the classroom, and they never seemed to quite get there. Like I would try doing mindfulness when I guided it, and that didn't work at all. That was interesting. And so I'd tried things over the years, and my girlfriends who are teachers also knew that I do this and that I'm passionate about it and that I think it's important. And one of them had been to an all-day session for Educalm during a PD day. And she was like, we got to go for coffee tonight. I'm like, okay. So we did. And she told me about it. And I was so interested. And I'm like, that is exactly what I need. That is exactly what I believe students can use, because we don't teach them about as much about their brains and about how to handle hard things and emotions, and give them tools in their toolbox to be able to deal with daily life and daily anxiety. And I think grade 6, or any grade really, but I feel like grade 6 is a great time to start that, because they're just starting to grow outside of themselves and be aware of things outside of themselves. And So, so then I was like, I'm signing up for the first workshop I can. And that's what I did. I signed up for the first intro workshop. And from there, I just got even more excited after spending that half day with you guys and learning and having that time. I suggest to anybody who is thinking about doing Educalm to participate in that workshop. If it's still possible. But it really gave me that base to work off of. So it got me organized and even more information and more passionate about being able to do the program.
That's awesome. Yeah. So for those that are interested, right now in the current climate with COVID, we're not offering any in-person workshops, but we do have online workshops. So we have professional development workshops that are pre-recorded that you can purchase and do that so that you feel like super ready and prepared to use our program in your classroom. And we have, of course, our free training that comes with our free trial. So you can go in there and you can get that training for how to use our program so that you feel comfortable and confident and like you're doing it right. And you kind of give yourself that little time for professional development so that there's no question marks there and you can avoid some of the common mistakes and things like that. So thank you for sharing that. So next step, you took this workshop and then you brought it into your classroom. What did that look like for you?
So I teach 2 classes. We team teach. And so I teach ELA to both classes and social studies to both classes. We each teach our own math. And so I had 2 very different classes that year. My class was very calm and quiet, and the other class was the opposite of that. And so I brought it in. It was in April. And so I brought it into the classroom and I started doing it with both classes whenever that first contact time was. So whenever I first saw that class, I did it. So I was personally doing it twice a day. And I noticed a difference for myself doing it twice a day, that I was a lot calmer. I had a lot more patience. I was feeling less stressed. And the interesting thing is that the class that was more energetic and maybe a little bit more off topic really responded better to it. We had great conversations. They were able to refocus so much better after doing it. And so that was my first kind of intro and aha moment. I was like, wow, yes, this is really good. And the conversations that I had that year were unbelievable with them. I mean, we would sometimes take half of period to get into those feelings and that anxiety and breathing. And this one worked and this one didn't. And we didn't after we tried the 5 different breathing strategies and just talking about them and having good, respectful conversations. And they weren't all talking at once. So it was really good.
That is a wonderful outcome. So that must have been a really cool kind of experiment in the beginning to have these 2 groups that were so different. So how did the group that was calmer to begin with respond to the practice?
So they didn't want to have a lot of conversations, and I didn't feel like it was doing anything for them. So, but if I would forget sometimes, because I mean, if I didn't see them first thing in the morning, or I would forget, and they would ask for it. So I started doing it a little bit differently, and I started using the journals more that are provided instead of having the conversations. And through those, I began to realize that it was getting to them. They just didn't want to talk about it. They were using these strategies outside of school. They were using them at recess. They were using them at home, and they were talking about them at home. They just didn't want to verbalize that. And so it became more of a writing tool than to talk about their emotions than it did as a discussion.
That's so cool. And it really demonstrates kind of the flexibility of this program. So for those that might be new, Educalm Classroom has guided audios that you listen to every day. They're either 2 or 5 minutes long. Most of them are 5 minutes long. We've got 2-minute audios for the first couple units, just as students are getting used to this so they can build their stamina and work up to that 5 minutes. So you listen to the audio, and then afterwards, we suggest that either you have a class discussion and talk about what you noticed and what you're learning, Or we offer printable student booklets. So you can print out these booklets and have students write about what they're experiencing and what they're learning. So it's really neat that you were able to kind of take two different approaches depending on the group. And we know as teachers, every single group is different. And especially when you're teaching the same thing to two groups in one day, you can see like, okay, this group moves faster in this way. This one loves discussions. This one doesn't. This one has energy. This one doesn't. Like, it's so interesting how you have to vary your approach depending on the group that you have in front of you. And I think that's part of the fun thing of being a teacher is like trying to figure out what's going to work with this group. You know, I mean, it can be frustrating, but for me, it's like, I love that you have to like solve this problem and this riddle of like, what's going to work for this group.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. So first year you were doing it yourself. Now your whole grade 6 team is doing Educalm Classroom together. So what did that look like for you to move from being the only teacher doing it at the school in your, teaching group, to moving to having the whole team doing it?
That year, the teacher I was teaching with is our team leader, and she had the energetic class. And one day I couldn't do it with them, and I really felt like they needed it. So I went into her classroom. I said, "Would you mind playing this before your math class?" I said, "I think they need it, and I think it would be really useful." And so I played it. She said, "Yeah, no problem." I set it up, and they played it, and because I wasn't going to see them again that day. And she said that she had the most amazing math class with that group. They were so much more focused and on task, and she felt like they just absorbed her lesson, and it was a new lesson. It just absorbed what she was doing with them. And so it was really neat to have her see that difference in her students. And so then she wanted to get into it. And then we had some changes in our team last year, and now we're 4. And so then at the beginning of last year, like the two of us kind of really talked about it and kind of decided as a group then that we would really like to do this as a team, that it is beneficial. And we can see the difference, because I teach the other class and then we got split up, and now we each teach one of the 4 classes. Two of the 4 classes, sorry. And so we kind of took the lead with that, and then they went to the workshop. And after they went to the workshop, the introductory workshop, they were like, "Oh, I get it now. Yes, I see what you're talking about." I think they said we drank the Kool-Aid. So, like they're really excited to get started. And so they did too. And then we all have our Educalm accounts, and we talk about that. And at first, with my teaching partner last year, it was kind of like, okay, when do you want to do it? Like, do you want to do the English, and I'll do the English since I teach ELA. You can do it in French since you do Francais, and we would kind of coordinate with that a little bit more, depending on how the schedule was working, making sure that we would do it every day. But now we kind of just stick to our homerooms. Because of COVID, we have different entry times now, right? So we actually get in the school much earlier than we used to. So we do it now before O Canada. We have 10 minutes before O Canada, and they settle right down, and it kind of gets them ready to start the day. And that's been a good experience too. I believe the other 2 classes are doing it still kind of after O Canada during their first contact, but just kind of working at that together and making sure that they're getting it. And then if I forget, or if she forgets, we can kind of just talk to each other and say, "Oh, can you do this?" And we work together to make sure that they get it every day. And today we did it twice. I did it twice with my homeroom today because they needed it. They got their immunizations, and we just had a little bit more of a stressful, anxious day with all those needles. And so we did it again. We did it right again after last recess, and it was a good thing to just like calm the end of the day, get them to not be so stressed about having their arms being sore and the drama that can come with all of that. And it just kind of resettled them for that final period.
Nice. So what would you say compared to when it was just you doing the practice, the Educalm classroom practice with your students, and then now that you're doing it as a team and as a whole grade level, what are the differences that you're seeing, maybe some of the benefits or just some of the things you've noticed now that the whole team and so then all the grade 6 students at your school are doing it now?
Yeah. I think, well, I'm doing it less, unfortunately, because I don't get to do it with both groups all the time.
Right.
So, oh, that's too bad for me. But I can hear the language in the grade level though, right? Like you can hear them, they know that the jingle, they know the beginning jingle, right? They can hear it in the classrooms around us. They can say to each other, like they can talk to each other about Educalm because everybody's on the same page, right? Everybody's doing it. They all know about it. We're roughly all in the same spot. And so it's a language in a way too. It's its own language, talking about belly breathing and talking about the strategies and about staying calm and mindful and of what they're hearing and what they're smelling and where their attention should be. So it's things, I mean, it's not a lot. It's not something I hear all the time because it is still the beginning of the year, but you can feel that cohesive kind of
just that common vocabulary that, that they all get it, that you could talk to anyone in any of the students in grade 6 and you could ask them or use Educalm language and they get it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Nice. So this year is, different than previous years. This is our COVID year. And so many schools are focusing a lot more on mental health and wellness and really making sure that students are getting that social connection at school. And it's, in my opinion, it's really kind of a great year in the sense that we're opening up our eyes to the benefits of taking the time for social emotional learning and putting academics second. Number one, let's support them in their humanness and then let's help them to grow from there. Let's give them a foundation and then let's grow. So are you finding that you're noticing that students are really kind of needing this practice more this year, or are they kind of just, same as always? What are you noticing specifically related to COVID and how things are different? How is Educalm Classroom impacting that?
I find that grade 6 students are quite high stress socially, with social media starting really to gain ground at this level, them getting their cell phones, most of them by Christmas, if not already over the summer, adds a level of anxiety to this age group that maybe that in grade 5 they didn't have because they didn't have access to that social media. So I can see that, yes, there is more stress, but I don't know that it's necessarily that much more than normal because I find that they do come very highly stressed. The drama comes in grade 6. Can I say with the girls? It comes a lot more intensely. The drama comes a lot more, right?
It's the age. I mean, they're at a developmental stage in their brain development where their brain is starting to change, where they're seeing themselves through the eyes of others a lot more. So, and I've taught grade 5 and grade 6, and you can see the difference. Like you can see that change when they shift from being these kids that don't realize that other people can see them, they do things without having they don't feel embarrassed about anything. They just do things and they don't even consider how other people perceive them. And then all of a sudden there's that switch at around grade 6 where their brain changes and all of a sudden they are aware that other people can see them and other people can have an opinion about them. And then all of a sudden they're a lot more self-conscious and then also a lot more judgmental of their peers because they're just going through this phase where socially they're learning how to be part of the group and very fearful of not being part of the group. So yes, it is natural for that drama to come at this age and therefore very useful to have tools that you can teach them to help them to reduce that drama.
Exactly, right? And when they're feeling those big emotions, to be able to feel them. And that's okay to feel them. and not completely push them away. And we're not quite there yet this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're still into the beginning of the units and getting used to doing it. But I can't wait to get there. I can't wait to get into the more emotional, the social emotional unit. It's my favorite. I think it's a lot of people's favorite, but getting into that, how to deal with those big emotions and being the wind and the tree and the turtle and going through all of that, because I think, I almost like think we could maybe skip to get there a little bit faster, because I feel like the big emotions are bigger maybe earlier this year, with COVID and the possibility always seeming to be looming of the shutdown, which nobody wants. And so having those tools in their toolbox already to deal with those big emotions will definitely help. And maybe starting those conversations, at home a little bit earlier. I do always encourage them to talk to their parents about what we're doing in class. And then, having that, them to be able to use that language at home too, saying big, like using the word big emotions and having to be able to calm their mind and to take deep breaths is very important. It's actually funny because my, child in kindergarten goes to a school that's using Educalm, and he's has big emotions a lot. And and he said, "Mommy, I learned this today." And he showed me his hand and he did the 5-finger breathing. And I said, "Oh." And so, going to school late this week without his brother, because his brother's been sick for 2 weeks now, I said, "Okay, cool. Let's put our hands up and let's breathe." And so I'm using that at home and he's using that at school. And it's such a powerful tool. I was so happy to know that they were using it at their school, that we can do it together. And it's definitely helping him a lot. So I can see the benefits of doing it at home and at school.
That's so great. And it's nice to be able to have kind of that, again, common vocabulary, just like when the whole grade 6 team is doing it, you can, notice someone in the hallway, even if they're not your student, and say, "Oh, wow, it looks like you're having a big emotion. What strategy could we use right now?" And, or, "Okay, I see that we have lots of energy. Let's take a deep breath," or "Let's do 5-finger breathing or belly breathing." It's just easier because you can get right into the strategies when you see that they're needed, and the teaching of the strategy first with every single kid that you come in contact with doesn't have to happen because it's already been done in the classroom, or with your kids at home. If it's already been learned in the classroom, then you can just go straight to using the tool when you're at home. That's really great. So, for any teachers that are interested in getting their team on board or interested in getting their whole school on board to using this program together, what would you say were some of kind of the hurdles for you at first? So you were the one that was really excited about it, and you had to kind of convince your team. What was the hard part at first?
I think it just took me just to get more comfortable just using it myself. Once I was comfortable with it, then I was able to better communicate with them the benefits that I was seeing. And then doing getting them to use it in their classroom once, that was huge. I knew they needed it, the students needed it, and that's why I did it. But to hear the feedback that my teaching partner had given me was just incredible. I was so happy even to realize that, because I don't teach them math, that how much of an impact that had on that math class. It made my heart happy, right? To know that helps them focus so much better. So being comfortable with it yourself first. And then I have a great admin. And they were really on board right from the beginning, wanting to, we did the PD through the workshop. So for me, I was really lucky, and we had new admin last year. They were both brand new, and they supported us too. They supported us in wanting to do this. They believe in helping students get ready to learn, and doing the Educalm program. So I'm very lucky that I have such a great team that's open to that, and that I've got great admin. So I know that being able to do it through the PD the first year, and then having that paid for, the subscription paid for, and then being able to use it in my classroom was a really good thing for me to be able to do. And so, like, I don't know, I didn't have that many hurdles, I guess. I was really lucky that I found something that I'm passionate about. But I mean, they know that I've been doing this. I've been working on doing growth mindset lessons, and this kind of all fits in together and melds together and works. And so they already knew that this is something I'm passionate about for my students. And so and then once they saw the benefits, it was just easy. It was easy for them. And then having them to go to the workshop then made it even easier, and everybody was on board and understanding where I was coming from. So even though they were already on board, getting them more on board, it just seems to being able to have that time to work through the process and to kind of figure it out and to get that extra learning from as a teacher it makes the big difference for me. So yeah, I was lucky. I am really lucky.
Well, I think a big takeaway here is, people, once they, like you said, once they saw the benefits, once they saw you doing it, once you felt comfortable. So I think it's always so important to demonstrate rather than tell, when you can demonstrate how to act rather than tell a student how to act, they're going to respond more to the way you act rather than what you say. So I think it's the same with our colleagues. If we can just do it ourselves and be a model of what it can look like, what that success can look like, and then be ready to share our successes and help them to have the same success that we did because we feel comfortable with it, because we've done it for ourselves first, I think is so great and so important. And to your points of having taken the time to do that PD, again, I just want to remind our listeners that we have a free professional development workshop in our free trial. So if you want to get started with this, say maybe you've been using our free trial or you've been using our program in your classroom, and you're not sure exactly how to talk to your colleagues about it, well, maybe take the time to sit down and watch that professional development video, that training, and you'll get some of the language that we use, or you'll see the structure that we explain how to use the program, and it'll make it easier for you to explain it as well. Or sit down together as a team when you have a day that you're allowed to work together in teams and watch the video together and talk about it. And you can be the expert without having to do the professional development for them. You guys can watch the video together and you can be there to answer questions or give examples of how you did that thing in your classroom. So that is totally free. Anyone can do it whenever. And then we also have that professional development workshop that your team came to and you came to. We have that available for purchase on our website. So that is also something that you can do as a professional development workshop by yourself when you have a professional development day, or on your own time if you're that excited about it. Cozy up on your couch and watch it on a Saturday. I don't know. Depends how excited you are about it and how you feel about your weekends. But I tend to be no school work on weekends. I'm pretty specific about that for myself, but everyone has to do what's right for them. So that professional development is available online and is accessible, even though we can't do it in person right now. So you still have that available to you.
And it is easy to do. Is the reason why I think I started and then continued doing it, because once you get those words and you kind of feel comfortable, and I looked back on my stuff from the workshop when I started again this year on how to introduce it, and to have that kind of, the example of how it calms your brain and gets you ready to learn, and the benefits, almost a little bit selling it to the students at the beginning to get them to buy in so that they are kind of putting a little bit more into it. And it's not hard, right? Everything about this is so much easier than any other thing that I've tried before in the past. And that's what I appreciate as a teacher, right? And then there's the one-off lesson plans too, that when we're in the shutdown, we were able to do too. Just do a little lesson. I got I wasn't able to do as much planning because I got very sick during the remote learning. And then I could just grab a lesson from there, print it to PDF, and there you go. Here's something you guys can do. And the students liked it. During the remote learning, I had a lot of students still doing it on their own, or at least doing the breathing, and using that as a tool because they were really stressed out too, right? We weren't the only ones. And so having started that good base last year and continuing with it helped them and unbelievably keep a positive outlook and use the tools in their toolbox to calm those big emotions.
That's great. Yeah, that's a, side benefit of this program is that in every unit, we have printables, we have activities, we have lesson plans. So the program can be as simple as just listening to the audio with your students every day. It can be, just a 5-minute practice, but it goes as deep as having posters and activities and things that you can print off that if, you need an activity to do with a sub or you just don't have the energy to plan today, it's something that's ready to use. You can just print it off, print it to PDF. Like you said, depending on what technology you're using, it's really easy to print to PDF and use it on Microsoft Teams or OneNote or whatever platform you're using. So yeah, our whole goal is to make teachers' lives very easy and to give you all the tools you could possibly need to make this resource just super useful, and it always has your back.
Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience with Educalm Classroom and giving us ideas of how we can incorporate this into a team practice with more than just one classroom doing the practice, but several classrooms in the school doing the practice, and how that can benefit our classroom culture and our school culture. Before we go, do you have any last things that you would like to share with anyone that's thinking of starting this in their classroom?
Do it. Just do it. It's worth it. It's worth it for you personally as a teacher to be able to take some time to breathe. Me taking the time just to take those 5 minutes for myself is so important, because as teachers, we rush around and we do a million things, and having 5 minutes every day to breathe with my students is important. And it does. It makes a big difference for your students, and the learning comes easier. It's just easier after the students get used to doing it and start using them in their toolbox.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's great advice. Just do it. If you want to get started, you can get started with our free trial, which costs nothing and you have it forever. It does not expire. So when you sign up at educalm.com for our free trial, you can get training on how to use this program for free, and also the first unit of this program, Introduction to Mindfulness. You have access to that and all the goodies and ready to use lesson plans and activities that are in there for you. So just do it. I like that. Awesome. Thank you, Erith.
Thanks.
All right. I hope that listening to Erith's story inspired you to bring social emotional learning and mindfulness into your classroom using Educalm Classroom. If you would like to check it out, go see our website, www.educalm.com. You can learn a lot more about the program and try it for free. And you can also check out our training page if you want more information on our online trainings. We will also link our website in the show notes. So if it's easier for you to just go into the show notes and click on the link, it'll be there for you too. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone that you think would get value from it too. Thanks so much for sharing your time with us. We appreciate you and all the amazing work you're doing in your classroom and in the world. Have a fantastic week.